Our second artist is a member of a band that performed at our Vibrant Brampton festival. Jason Austin is a diverse musician, known for traveling across North America with French horn with his band, the Hogtown Brass. He is a Bachelor of Music and Performance from the University of Toronto and has played with many orchestras, including the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, as well as recorded independent film scores. Hogtown Brass is a dynamic Canadian ensemble of accomplished musicians from a variety of diverse artistic backgrounds. Known for their unique arrangements and new compositions, collaborations with vocalists and instrumentalists, along with an affinity for both standard and non-traditional performance spaces, Hogtown Brass is on a mission to reinvigorate the entire concert experience for their audiences. Jason's creative journey started at a music camp in high school.
It's actually a really interesting story. As a kid, I was progressing pretty hard towards a career in sports. And it was actually an elbow injury that kind of stopped that. But I pretty quickly, I'd been playing in the high school band and having a good time. And so I went off to music camp, to IMC up here, Interprovincial Music Camp. And it was the first time I'd ever had private lessons. It was the first time I'd ever been with other players that were of the same level as I was at. And it was the teacher who told me, have you ever thought about doing this as a career? And at that point, I didn't even know it was an option. So it was a little bit roundabout. But I've always really loved performing, whether it was performing on a sports, like on a baseball field, or on a basketball court. And so that really kind of it filled that need.
A lot of Jason's inspiration comes from movie soundtracks.
For me, it's always been movie soundtracks. So when I'm looking for a quality or a reason that horn playing still speaks to me, it's all of the greatest scores, all of the great films. They have great trumpet playing, they have great trombone playing, but it's the French horns that just always get this moment to shine. And I think we have John Williams probably to thank for a lot of that. But it's not hard to find a reason to pick up your instrument when you get to hear it so beautiful and so big and round and important in these scenes.
Although tough to choose, this is Jason's favorite movie score.
Oh boy, it's like asking if you have a favorite kid. I think probably Jurassic Park would be the top of the list.
When embarking on the creative process, it's about putting the experience of the audience at the forefront.
Especially when I'm working with the brass quintet that was featured in the Vibrant Classical Festival, we look pretty much towards, we want to put on shows that have a little bit of something for everybody, right? So we're going to put on, there's going to be some classical music, there's going to be some pop tunes, there's going to be some jazz, pretty much anything that you can play on a brass instrument. We're going to try to put it onto a show to make sure that everyone in the audience goes home having had a great experience. And if they've heard something that they're going to remember. And so really, my creative process, I think a lot more in terms of entertainment and bringing that kind of joy or that kind of experience to the stage.
The pandemic has been especially tough on the practice front.
It's been pretty hard. And especially with the false starts and the restart and the pivots, everyone's favorite word over the last couple of years, it's been tricky because there's obviously a component of staying in shape and always being ready to perform, but not always having an audience to perform for. The other thing has been there's a lot of tech discovery, right? So learning how to use whether it's Final Cut or audio tools like Logic Pro, things like that, and learning how to record ourselves and make it sound like we're all in the same room, and instead of being, spread out all across Southern Ontario and into Montreal. So it's been challenging in that way. And really it's the social component, right? Musicians are, by and large, we're a really social group of people. And so it really probably hasn't been this way since we were in our undergrad and, going into the dungeon at the University of Toronto to practice, where we're in a room by ourselves without getting to hear ourselves and hear harmony and work with friends or colleagues. So that's probably been the hardest part, but really, I know all of us are just really, really excited to get back on stage.
Hogtown Brass is getting ready to quickly get back out on stage.
The Hogtown Brass, we are full steam ahead. We've got programs that were unfortunately put on hold back in April of 2020. So we've got a few things to revisit. We've got a really interesting version of Pictures at an Exhibition for brass and organ. We've also got, our main show, which we're taking to a concert venue up in Aurelia within the next month. And then we'd like to get back into the studio. It's been a couple of years since we've recorded anything, and so it's time for us to put a new some kind of a new stamp out there.
Jason shares what his absolute favorite performance was.
We've played a lot of really cool halls. In 2019, we had a really successful tour of the east coast of Canada through Halifax and into Moncton. But I fondly remember our very first show, which, believe it or not, was at a brewery in downtown Toronto. And we probably packed the place far past what the fire code would have allowed. And there was barbecue going out front, and smoke was kind of coming through, so it looked like we had a bit of that effect going. And I think we played 3 sets. It was the longest night, but we all had just the best time. And all of our friends and family came out. I still think about that show so fondly. I really hope that we can revisit an event like that when it's safe for everyone to, gather indoors or even outdoors and have a good time.
If the music of Hogtown Brass was put into a capsule today and someone dug it up 50 years from now, here's how the band would want that person to feel.
A little bit of everything. Never staying with one style or one composer or one idea for too long, but having them all sound authentic. Especially, with what's happened in the last couple of years, we are dedicated more than we ever have been in terms of looking for diversity in our programming and representation in our programming as well, having just commissioned Kevin Lee along with a bunch of other great brass quintets to get a new piece written there. But that's not to say that we're going to program just for the sake of programming. We still want it to be entertaining. We still want audiences to enjoy what we're doing. So it's really, I hope that 50 years from now, anything that the Hogtown Brass puts out still is a nice representation of the world we live in and hopefully aspiring to that we want to live in, I should say.